Today we'll be talking about strength of the planets, about the exaltation, which is Ucha, debilitation, which is Nicha, and in the next session we'll be talking about how the relationship or the yogas between the planets work. As walking with a torch in life is much easier, this may seem a little bit fragmentized, so if you'd like to get very ordered and structurized blocks of knowledge with more examples, more tips from the tradition, then please consider purchasing the 3 modules of the course. If you are interested, then hit me up with the email below. Today, among other topics, we will cover the double traits of planets, which is both exalted and retrograde, about the Ucha and Nicha, Banga, which is cancellation of debility and exaltation. We will talk how to count the enemy planets and also what is the deity, what is the nature and the remedy for the debilitated planets. With 1 exalted planet, you are the senior manager. With 2, you are a director. With 3, you are a vice president. And with 4, you are general manager. Just kidding, you will find many people who are much more influential and powerful without any exalted planets than those who may have 4 or 5 exalted planets. So there is more complexity to it. This has profound meaning in some rules. For example, to determine the access to huge wealth, we need exalted or debilitated planets in 11th from Aruda Lagna. Similarly, you need the strong planets in 8th house or 2nd from Upapada to make the relationship last. So the deciphering language of rishis is not so easy, but we have to understand that this is all about the balance and the strength of the planets. This is very much or extensively discussed on the 3B year of the Parashara Jyotish course. If we step back, it's part of the 6 types of strength, which is called the Shadbala estimation, and each separately conveys its own meaning, and this one, the debilitation and exaltation, is part of something which is called Diptadi Avashta, and it's mostly related to our ideals. So the complexity comes when we have exalted planets, which is showing high ideals, but also retrograde. What is really happening? Are the ideals going down? And the tradition tells us that the samsara results, which are the external effects or the outcomes, would be of Nicha planet, debilitation, but the exaltation ideals or high ideals will stay, and therefore it's, as you may guess, is giving rise to very spiritual people. You will find these positions in the sannyasis or people who have renounced the world. Also, we have to remember that the exaltation is not always wanted. For example, if we have exalted Kendra Lord in the Dushtana, Dushtanas are 6, 8 or 12, then we may infer from that position then this malefic has 2 high ideals to protect that house it lords. There is much said about boundaries in psychology, so can we say that in astrology it would be the Kendra, which are the doors to our life? So for example, if you are dual sign, we have Jupiter and Mercury, which are lording the Kendra houses, so it's better than they are strongly placed in the good houses. If we read the Shastra like Brihad Jataka, for example, we will find in that Raja Yoga chapter combination for kingly status, it's always about exalted planets, especially in the Kendra. Very interestingly, often in the movable signs. However, in the Nadis, we get to know that in this age, which is called Kali Yuga, we need to have at least 1 debilitated planet, because in this age we will need to be a little bit more flexible or even crooked to attain success. Just like Chanakya Pandit is saying that these straight trees will get cut. So ideals are not ideal to deal with Kali Yuga. But if we go to the core of this lecture, we'll try to allocate some logical hankers to make it easy to memorize. So a form of compartmentalization is needed. So we'll start with the pairs. Aries and Libra axis. Sun exalted in Aries and Saturn is debilitated in Libra. And then we have Moon in Taurus getting exalted, debilitated in Scorpio. For Gemini and Sagittarius, we have Rahu exalted in Gemini, Ketu exalted in Sagittarius. Then we have Cancer, Capricorn axis. You see those axes are 1, 7 signs. In Cancer, Jupiter exalts. In Capricorn, Mars exalts. And also, reverse is true. In Cancer, Mars is debilitated and Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. Then in the Leo and Aquarius, we don't have anyone exalted. And Virgo and Pisces, we have Mercury exalted in Virgo, Venus exalted in Pisces, and conversely, Mercury is debilitated in Pisces and Venus is debilitated in Virgo. We'll have 4 such pairs and 1 moon get exalted in Taurus and Scorpio. So we have Navagraha, 9 planets. So you need to understand those axes, and from this also comes nice philosophy. For example, Sun is very much for individualism. He likes to be alone, therefore it's exalted in Aries in the first house. And it's also showing our identification, our ego. And Saturn is exalted in the natural 7th sign, Libra, because Saturn is all about the people, about masses, and in Libra he's fighting for equality. Venus is exalted in natural 12th sign, which is the giver, the Pisces, so activist. Venus can give up his own life, and Virgo is exalted sign for Mercury, 6th house, so it's all about the growth. Mercury likes to learn and is very flexible to do this. With the nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, they get exalted in the 3-9 natural signs, Gemini and Sagittarius. So Rahu is debilitated in the 9th, because 9th is a Dharma, ethics. So this is where the spiritual Ketu is exalted, and he gets debilitated in the 3rd house of the big cities, Gemini. So Ketu is all about the minimalism and the nature and liberation. Now Jupiter and Mars, Cancer and Capricorn, natural 4 and 10 signs. Mars wants to show off and loves to compete. So the best place would be the career life or the throne, 10th house. Jupiter likes inner happiness and learning, which is the Vidya Sthana in the 4th house. And of course, Moon, food, society, people gets exalted in the natural 2nd house of Kutumba, which is the groups, and debilitated in the 8th house of debts, the stress, transformation, and disease. Interestingly, planets which are exalted, they are behaving like Vishnu, so they are in Sattva Guna. So malefics in 4th house normally are decreasing the purity of person, but not if they are exalted, or Atmakaraka. Similarly, for the 1st house, the same malefics may afflict our truthfulness, the Satya, but not if they are exalted. Times you may be bankrupt, but you have those backdrop of the rich parents or rich friends, so the dasha of planet which are bringing the Nichebanga, the cancellation, can rise that initially debilitated planet. They can also work in the yogas or relationship with the planet, so if you don't want to miss the next lecture about this topic, please consider subscribing to this channel. There is added complication to this when we are talking about cancellation, because if planet is exalted, it needs to have those friends who will keep the planet exalted. If these are not in Kendra, to Lagna or the moon, then this planet will fall. Similarly, if planet seems to be debilitated but have those friends, those Nichabanga planets in, again, Kendra to Ascendant or the moon, then this planet is not really debilitated or can rise in the dasha of those friends. When we are talking about the cancellation of debility, we have the first factor, which is exaltation in the Navamsha. This is 100% of the cancellation. Then we have 3 other planets which can give maximum of 75. First one is the planet which is lording the sign of exaltation. Then we have planet which is lording the sign of debilitation. And the third one is the planet which exalts in the sign of debilitated sign. To make it clear, let's take the Sun debilitated. Sun is debilitated in Libra. So we need to take the lord of that sign, which is Venus, then take 7 lord from that, which is the Aries, so Mars. And then we need to take planets which exalts in Libra, which is Saturn. So these 3 planets, Venus, Mars, and Saturn, can, if they are placed in Kendra to Ascendant or Moon, Kendra is 1st, 4th, 7, and 10, then they are taking this planet out of debilitation state. And each planet will contribute to 25% of cancellation. Let's take Jupiter, which is debilitated in Capricorn. So we need to take the lord of that sign, which is Saturn, 7 lord from that sign, which is Moon, and planet which exalts in Capricorn, which is Mars. Therefore, for Jupiter debilitated, Saturn, Moon, and Mars. These 3 planets are Nicha Banga givers. Let's take then Saturn, which is debilitated in the Aries. Lord of that sign, Mars, 7 lord from that sign, Venus, planet which is exalts in that sign of debilitation, Sun. So Mars, Venus, and Sun are these 3 planets which can take the Saturn out of debilitation. Let's take the Mars. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. So lord of that sign, Moon, 7 lord from that, Saturn, and planet which exalts in Cancer, Jupiter. So if Mars is debilitated, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter can take the Mars out of debility state. So I hope it's now easy. If you have any question to this, please write me down in the comments. The remedy for debilitated planets, if you have this state in your chart and it's not having the Nicca Bhanga, then always there is a hope in Vedic astrology, because we have all sets of remedies for each possible combination. For debilitated planets, we are taking the Mahavidya form of that planet. For example, if it's Jupiter, we are using the Srimati Tara Devi. Now, if we are talking about strand of planets Avashta, we cannot ignore the enemy state. For this, you need to take the Mula Trikona sign, which is usually the sign which is loaded by the planet, but which is odd. So for example, for Jupiter, that would be Sagittarius. For Saturn, it will be Aquarius. Enemy signs will be Upachaya from that Mula Trikona. So it's not so easy. You need to take paper. You need to little bit practice. So remember, Upachaya from the Mula Trikona sign of the planet will be the enemy signs of that planet. Now, Upachaya houses are 3, 6, 10, and 11. Of course, if that will fall in debilitated or exaltation sign, then this will dominate. But if they are free of any state, then this will be inimical state. So for example, Jupiter, Mula Trikona, is the Sagittarius. So Libra, which is the 11th from Sagittarius, would be enemy sign for Jupiter. Similarly, Aquarius, which is 3rd house from Sagittarius, is the enemy sign. Gemini will also be enemy for Jupiter, because it will be 7th from Sagittarius. For example, Mula Trikona sign for Saturn is Aquarius. If we count 6th house from Aquarius, it's Cancer. So Cancer is enemy sign for Saturn. Similarly, Scorpio is the enemy sign for Saturn because it's 10th house from the Mula Trikona of Saturn, which is Aquarius. So you need to find Mula Trikona sign of the planet, and 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th from this point, from this sign, this will be inimical signs of that planet. Said if there will be debilitation or exaltation, then this will dominate. For example, if we take Saturn, Mula Trikona, Aquarius, 3rd house from its position is Aries. But this is already taken because Saturn is debilitated in the Aries. So that will stay. And this is very important because in some cases, enemy sign is much worse than debilitation. Okay, guys, thanks for being here with me. Consider joining our Jyotish Analytics family on the Discord if you'd like to have your chart analyzed, health, relationship, and career life with the timing, advices, and remedy. Hit me up for the Zoom reading 60-90 minutes with this email here. And if you would like to learn about the examples of Nicca Bhanga, then please consider watching this video here.